Why, hello, everybody, and hello, Hilary.
Hello, Rev Rob. How are we today?
I am great, and welcome to High Vibin' with Hilary and Rev Rob. I am Rev Rob.
I am Hilary.
Yes. So I'm just very excited today because I have some things I want to chat with you about and to get some feedback from our viewers. And I'm just gonna ask you some questions, if I may.
All right.
So I came across this article. We do a lot of work with clients and congregants and ways to help people feel better about themselves. And I found this article and it says 25 ways to kill the toxic ego that will ruin your life. Now, I don't know about you, but this is how this sounds like a good article. This sounds like it's got some good info to
Wait
to
a
help
second.
us live better, right?
Right. So, are we going to talk about the ego today? And that it might
Mm.
not be as bad as we thought?
Maybe, maybe. I found this person that was writing a book called The Ego is the Enemy. And when I read this, um, we've been told this kind of thing for how long? Trying to find and identify those parts of ourselves that are lying or limiting to ourselves. And, we got to try to get rid of it, kill it, I guess. Um, But I've been feeling a bit of pain on behalf of the ego, and uh, almost feel like it's heresy to say, but I think that I have decided that the ego is something that I love and that I want to love and that has something to say to me because it is a part of me. Does that make
Wow.
sense to you?
It makes
Does that sound
complete
crazy?
sense to me. It's very opposite how a lot of us have been taught in the topic of metaphysics. A lot of times, I know I was taught that you're supposed to take your ego, and we used to name it after a dog. Like, what kind of dog would your ego be? Mine would be like a bulldog. And you put that bulldog in the crate, you put it inside a cage, and you say, "Go away. I'm in control here." And you put that ego away. So what you're saying is freeing the ego, freeing the doggy, and allowing it to be part of us,
Sure.
part of us.
So you're a dog owner, I'm a dog lover. What happens to your dog when you keep it in a crate like that? When you keep it put away,
Oh.
kind of cut off. Um, some dogs, when big enough, you know just what to do to kind of claw out and
Right,
be singly focused on getting themselves out of that space.
right. And then they're crazy.
And then they're crazy.
They go crazy.
So I'm gonna suggest something, and I'm gonna read to you something else that I found that is a little more beautiful about the ego. But I'm gonna suggest that again, this ego is a part of who we are uniquely, and probably comes in many forms, and might deserve a little more love and compassion than we might have been giving it.
I like it.
So I found this. It is called A Love Letter to My Ego Self.
Okay.
I find this very touching. My love, we are at the start of something that we had never dared imagined was possible for us. But my love, it is. It is okay. I understand you are scared, but there is no need anymore for that fear. We will be a grand success. I promise to soothe your worry with a kind and compassionate heart. I promise we will be better than just okay or fine or getting by. And I promise I will share my comfort and wealth with all those we love and care for. We are about to soar and soar greatly. I love you and I'm so grateful for you for keeping me safe and small so we could survive, and we have. I am now healthy, trusting, and loved. We can both believe it. We got to this healed place together, you being cautious and careful, always reminding me of all the dangerous possibilities, and me slowly becoming more and more courageous and daring. I'm grateful for your protective ways for all those years. I know that they helped me to get here to this loving, self-aware, and worthy place, and I am now ready to play big. I'm excited you will be coming with me on this incredible new adventure I have chosen. I'm glad you will be experiencing the thrilling ride we are getting on. By the way, how cool is it that our path has an amusement park on it? There will be ups and downs. I will make mistakes. I will have doubts and face challenges, and I know you will be there trying to protect and comfort me. So, my love, not to worry, okay? Thank you for your many years of service, but you are off duty now. I'm good. So sit back, try your best to relax. It's going to be a great ride. Much love.
Sounds nice that
I almost started to cry when I read that.
That's nice.
Wow. Wow. So this feels like, at least when I brought this up in other places before, something that's a little hard to grasp because, like you said, this is what we've been programmed to do. We've been programmed to kind of put this part of us away or in a crate. How does it make you feel when you read that?
I mean, to me, it's beautiful. I I don't I don't have a problem with this at all, especially in the language that you just read. I think it'd be interesting, to talk about how the ego doesn't always come in so sweet like that, but I actually feel really good about it because I really, really believe that we're meant to feel all of our emotions. And I
Mhm.
think that when we take this ego and box it away or push it away or just, I'm happy and, not deal with this pest that's talking to us, then like you said, we're keeping it locked up in a cage and it's going to explode at some point. So wouldn't it be easier to feel those hard
Mhm.
things, to allow them to come up? I certainly have an ego about seeing myself on the screen every week. And every time I can't help but look at myself and I hear these not so pleasant comments in my head that I know are my ego. I can't tell it to shut up because it comes from trauma. It comes from things long ago that created this. It comes from being made fun of. It comes when you're a child. This is a real part of us. So pushing it down is not healthy. So I don't know if I maybe use the word ego as much as I just feel like we have to feel whatever's coming up, allow it to come up. And then by not judging it, by allowing that nastiness, then it leaves, especially if we don't sit there and have a battle with it, you know?
Right. Wow, that's really beautiful. So, using the example you just gave of looking at, yourself on the screen and, making judgments. So, I have an idea of what I think you think it's telling you, but have you ever given that voice that may be saying some pretty nasty things to you the opportunity to actually articulate them or verbalize them or just come out of you?
Yeah, when it's just you and me on the screen, you hear me say it. Yes, but I to be honest, it's not like I don't publicize that, out to people I'm not super comfortable with. But yes, no, I mean, no, I have not written about how I feel about seeing myself, but I will say, I mean, hell, I'm just going to let my shit hang out here. I've talked to Rob about like, maybe I'm going to get plastic surgery on my eyelids. They're suddenly falling. I never even thought about all this stuff before we started doing these things. And, look, I'm almost 54-year-old woman. Like it's part of the aging process. But that ego comes in and tells me, You look too old, honey. You shouldn't be on that screen. So I guess I can look at it two ways. I mean, on one hand, it's upsetting to hear that, and then of course I think to myself, well, if I'm feeling this, everyone must be looking at this video right now and thinking this, but they're probably not, because they probably
That's
don't
again, that's
give
another thing the
two
ego's telling you, right?
shits. So yeah, I mean, obviously this is something I need to deal with, because if it's coming up, it's something that's there, and it has been there. Look, to be female in the world is pretty tricky. We're always told, thankfully, things are starting to change a little, and it's becoming hipper to have gray hair or to be above a certain weight or whatever. But for the longest time, women have been told, and you can certainly speak for men, that we're too heavy, we're too saggy, we're too this, we're too that, too wrinkly. So I think I got that message from, gosh, when I was like 5 years old and used to watch the soap operas with my mom, you
Right.
know?
Oh, and right, we're both the same generation, so our moms are, like they come from that era where that's how people were. Like that was what you were worried about, like
Yeah.
how you're going to look and how you're going to be out there. And that can come in any in any form from your parents. Maybe you've got parents who are holding you to a standard of academics or sports or something. And the reason I ask you that question is because when I think of the ego or this part of ourselves saying or giving me nasty thoughts or saying nasty things, in my mind it's always like this big kind of pile of like like remember Pigpen and in Peanuts character in the Peanuts comics, had the little dust thing around his head. That's how I see it. And I realized when thinking about this that so it's always been just that dust thing. Like I think I know what it's saying. I think I know that it's saying, oh, you're too fat or you're too thin or you're too old. And it may very well be, but I've never actually allowed it to become vocal and so that I could look at it and or hear it and understand what it was trying to do. Um,
And
just like you,
what do you think it is trying to do?
I think that it is a protection. It is and I'll say he because I don't want to keep dehumanizing my ego because my ego is a part of me. This is really where I'm coming from this. So he or this part of me is a product of, just like you said, lifelong programming of how I'm supposed to be, how women are supposed to be, how boys are supposed to be. I'm gay, so I had other messages about what it meant to be a man.
Yeah.
And then you get it into the gay world, and then there's a whole set of ways to be as a gay person. But so we're getting fed these things our whole lives about how we're supposed to be. We internalize them. We turn them back out to the world as as things that we carry with us, that may be weighing us down, that may be limiting us. All those things that we hear about the ego doing, but I felt at one time, well, what if it had a voice? What if I just allowed it to just say what it had to say and see what it had to say? And so that's what I did. I sat down and I allowed. So the letter we heard was from, kind of the present conscious self speaking to the ego self. But I decided that I was going to go a step further and allow the ego self to speak to me and just said, have at it. And I actually wrote down, as putting myself in the space of the ego, giving it a voice the way it's always trying to get when it has us like that. And
Yeah.
it came out. I mean, every vile thing I've ever thought or felt, or at least was feeling in that moment, I allowed it to just come out and write it down. And
Pen and
um,
paper, right? Pen and paper.
yes, for me it was computer, but yes, so
Yeah.
it was literally so I could feel the words as I'm writing them. I could feel all of the hate and vile and bile that I know that I was feeling when I'm trying to keep it away from me. But
Can
it,
you
it,
can
you know,
you talk about like what can you share a few of the things that you said and the language in which you said it so that people can understand like that it's okay how it communicates?
Sure. I mean, it was very profanity laced. Um, because I didn't want to hold back as my ego self. I really became that ego self. It's like, again, we're told to kill it or modify it or put it away. And I wanted to be that ego self in that moment, just to be fair, just to give it its due, give him its due, his due. Let me pull up an entry and see if it's whether it's presentable for public consumption. But even if not, there's enough of how enough that would give it an idea. And I did a color at a different color so I could actually see it more clearly when it came out.
Yeah. I mean, the ego, she's not always super kind in her words.
Right. And
in her delivery. I mean, I know I often hear like, you idiot, followed by blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Blah.
Right. So I just, in this process, the first ego driven persona came out, I called the berater. And so this is very profanity laced, but I allowed it to happen. And, so I'll just beat myself out. So you are a effing boop. What the boop? When are you going to get some boop balls and take a stand for you? I mean, what the F and what a, yeah. Okay. You get an idea. So, really, I allowed myself to berate myself the way that I was already doing it in my head.
Right.
And to just be as colorful as possible. The more I wrote, the less power it had, because I could now look at it and go, okay, that's a little harsh. So I'm not going to accept it, but thank you. And even if it was saying things that were limiting beliefs, or, you'll never be able to accomplish what you say you're going to be able to accomplish because you're an idiot. When I see it on paper, it's like I finally just said it. Like, that's all I wanted to do is just say it once. We carry this around with us.
Yeah.
I can feel it, and I can feel it in other people when we talk about it. When you were talking about what it was like to look, at yourself on the screen, it's just you're just thinking, it's like right here, like you're this, you're this, you're this, you're this, you're this. Mm-hmm. It has no form or anything. Mm-hmm. So thank you for sharing, what you were.
So after you wrote all of this, and it's a purging, right? You're getting it all out.
Yes.
So I'm assuming it was a big write, a lot of words.
Yes.
How did you feel when you finished writing it?
I felt so much love and respect for the ego who I have imprisoned, in a jar. Like literally, I was in a workshop where I put it in a jar on a shelf. And when it was done, he was done. I just heard him sigh and go, oh, that's all I wanted. That's all I wanted. So thank you. And I could feel the love that he has for the whole me, because in ego's mind, ego is helping me fulfill what I said I wanted to do. So if I'm being called an idiot for something, it's because I said I wanted to do this and I didn't do it, or whatever. So because it is the product of all of those voices that we've, kind of the amalgamation of all those voices, our parents and our, whatever, our clergy, that's how it felt like, that's how he felt I needed to hear him. Right. And when you see that, it's like, oh God, it's like when my mom used to tell me, I did the best that I could. I only had your, the adult self could hear. I only had your best interest at heart. I was just doing the best that I could. That's what I felt for the ego. Like, oh, you were just doing the best you could. I mean, it really sucks, but it was the best you could. And how much I love you for that, and trying so hard, and me just like stifling you and suffocating you. Right. So I felt like this love. And I try to make it now when I start to feel gnarly in some way, and that's the berater. Yeah. I have the whiner, I'm the one that's like, why is it me? I can't get anything right, blah, blah, blah. So allowing these other parts of me, I think address what you said, which I never thought about it before, but like, this is just a way for allowing us to feel
Yeah,
our feelings
and release it.
and
And
release it.
we're in a time period where we're really being called to do that, and not, and something I want to add to that. First of all, well, 2 points I want to add. One is, by not allowing the ego to speak at all would be like cutting off like a side of your body, because it really is part of you. You know, we're light and dark, and you
Mhm.
need them both. So that's one thing I wanted to say. The other thing though, I think my thought just flew away from me. But anyway, yes, we have to say it, we have to feel it, then it will leave us. We don't have to have such disdain about it. And this really is a new way of looking at spirituality and metaphysics, because this is not what we've all been taught. You know, we've all been taught, like, sort of like the name of our show, high vibe, and say high vibe, say high vibe.
Right. Say high vibes. Right. But in the world, it's high and it's low. It ebbs and it flows.
It does.
And the more, you've heard the phrase that which we resist persists. So
Right.
if ego for our whole lives is getting shaped and formed into this entity, and again, we're putting it in a crate and allowing it to gnaw on that crate, just trying to say
Right.
something. All I want to do is, so, if you're a dog in a crate, all you want to do is get out and get love from your master. Like,
Right.
so if we deny it the love that it deserves, that he deserves or she deserves, then that's denying a part of us. And that goes against everything that we are saying in metaphysics, which is we are all one, we are all love. If
Right.
we're all together and unified and we're all part of the same source, well, it's all good. We just have to understand where it fits and how to manage what it brings up and manage it in our behavior. But
So
how many times do you hear your feelings? I don't know if people know what that means. You've really enlightened me. That's how you do it. Like,
well, and the way you feel your feelings is you have to feel them. So, this is the point that left me that I wanted to bring back. When we don't allow ourselves to feel our feelings, what ends up happening is we do too much of everything. That's when we start eating too much, drinking too
yes.
much, drugging too much, whatever it is that's, your thing. So, because we try and escape anything that's not pleasant. I mean, that's just how we're wired.
Mhm.
And not just in spirituality, I think in the world, we're always taught, like, be happy.
Right.
But really, we need to feel it. So if you sit there and instead of like if I feel uncomfortable about the way I look on video, and as soon as we finish this video, I go into the pantry and just instead of just sitting with myself, like, okay, what am I feeling right now? Either writing it, speaking it aloud, or even thinking and allowing, just sitting quietly, but not pushing it away, not judging the judgment. And I really do. I've had some experience with this. I really do think it leaves us. And that's really, I mean, we've got about 5 minutes left, but that's really the point of all of this it's not a bad thing to have an ego, right? I mean, and on top of that, we didn't even talk about that the ego protects you, like when you're in danger, legit. So we have to change the dialogue of how we speak about this ego. It's not bad.
Right. Well, because like anything, like the great thing about this letter that I read, the opening letter, was that this one was taking control. She was acknowledging, I don't have to be afraid of you. I'm the adult here in this. The ego is our childlike response and very reactionary and protective. And I'm bigger than this. I don't have to demonize you anymore. I feel, and as we said before we started this the recording, The other place that I've seen this is when conservative, fundamentalist faiths start assigning blame to the devil. The devil made me do that. The devil's going to tempt me. The devil is always there to take us off of our path. But in many ways, the same language is used in metaphysical and New Age writings about the ego, and you could substitute them. And so why would, and in this case, we're saying, well, this is a part of who we are. I mean, it's a part of
Yeah.
me. Me telling any part of me that it's horrible or needs to be killed, like this book that I also reflected on. I mean, is terrible. This is awful.
Yeah,
I'm not like that part of me.
right. So I think truly the point of all of this is, befriend your ego in the same way. If you've ever done any inner child work, and they always say, like hug your inner child and connect to your inner child, connect to your ego. There's nothing wrong with it. It's part of who we are. We're not supposed to be perfect. And maybe that is being perfect anyway, because it's the balance of light and dark, You can't
That's
know
exactly what I
light
think.
without the dark. You
Yes.
can't have one
Yes.
without the other.
Yes.
You can't know happiness without hardship. It's just
Yes.
how it goes. So it's time to embrace all of this, allow it, and love it.
Yes. Yes. That's it. That's it. Yeah. We can't be whole unless we acknowledge all the parts that make us whole.
Exactly. So really, ego, friend or foe?
I say friend. I'm gonna carry my protest signs,
I say friend too. Tell us what you think in the comments, and thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.